The Wild Robot tells the story of a robot that washes up in the wild, as you may have guessed. And essentially, the idea behind it is it's a robot who doesn't exactly know what its purpose is, it doesn't know what it's supposed to do, but it's looking for a task. So you can tell that it's been programmed to try and accomplish task, and it is looking for whoever ordered the robot. That's kind of all we know going in, and we learn more and more about the robot's backstory and how it came to be in the first place as the movie goes along. The first 10 minutes of this movie told a lot of it just kind of through little to no dialogue. The robot does say things, but it's usually just sort of to comedic relief more so than actual, moving the plot along or anything like that. But we eventually get to when the robot finds a task, which is to help a goose, which the robot accidentally murders the goose's family, but help the egg of the goose eventually hatch and grow to be a strong enough goose to migrate when it's time to migrate. That's kind of the concept of this movie, and it really more or less becomes almost like a mother-son relationship. Not even almost. That's really what the point of this movie is. It's very much about the relationship between the goose and the robot. It is not the most complex story you'll ever hear. It's not the most complex plot you should ever hear, is really the best way to phrase it. But really, I think the strength of this movie is in the execution and is in the characters, and specifically how much it can get you to care about these characters. There are really two main points in this movie that are essentially tear-jerker moments, and I'm not going to spoil them. I'm not going to get into spoilers at all in this video. I don't think I need to, but there's really two main moments that are very much designed to get you to cry, and that's kind of the point of the movie in general. It's a very sweet movie, and I think in some ways this film can be a bit of a cynic test. The more cynical you are, I think the less you might like this one, because definitely it can get a bit cheesy at times. I think it can get a bit I'm a little bit cynical, so there are a couple things that kind of, I feel like we're laid on a bit thick. The two main moments, one in the middle and one at the end, definitely worked for me. Some of the littler moments along the way kind of, again, I'm a bit cynical perhaps, but I did find them to be a little bit corny. I did really enjoy the animation style in this one, with the exception of there was a scene involving fire, that's just hard to pull off because, fire lights the characters so differently that, it's that makes it difficult. They were all kind of sitting around fire, and it didn't really look right to me. Other than that, I thought the animation was great, and that's totally a nitpick that I'm saying, and a nitpick due to a difficult thing to animate. But yeah, other than that, I thought that the animation was really cool. I really enjoyed this. All the performances worked for me. I had no complaints there. Going more so about what I was talking about earlier, this is a movie that, I think that, like I said, it's going for the heartstrings. It's going for certain emotional beats, and the score, because of that, really overpowering music, and like I said, doesn't always work for me, unfortunately, but it's one of those things where I feel like every time I catch myself kind of being like, okay, here we go, rolling my eyes, then by the end of the scene, I'm like trying not to cry kind of thing. So even for me as someone who's a bit cynical, I feel like even if it's like a bit thick early on, it kind of wins me over in each of these scenes because of, like I said, how much you care about these characters. And they're very sympathetic characters. I mean, a robot that, washed up onto an island and has no idea about its past and doesn't know a lot of stuff. This is a movie that ask the question of, if you're programmed to be a certain way, can you do things differently? And this is a movie that isn't afraid to go places that I didn't really think this movie was going to go with. I mean, for example, you do see some implied animal deaths throughout this scene. Nothing's on screen, but there are some implied animal deaths, which, okay, you're dealing with a lot of animals. Some of them are predators. You kind of have to do that for the story, but I could also see a lot of animated films and kids films not doing that. In some ways, I almost feel like this movie, well, I would say this feels like it's for the parents. It really does. I mean, for one thing, it's a story about being a mother, so that's a part of it. But it feels like it's a movie that a lot of the emotional beats are going to hit harder, I would assume, if you have a kid. I do not have kids. I can't say for certain. But this is definitely one that I think if you're a parent and are looking for a movie to go see with your kid, preferably, then, or someone else's kid, I suppose, if it's, if it's a friend of a friend, but if you're going to go see it with your kids, I think this is one to check out for sure. If you're not a parent, I still think this is one to check out. I think it's a very sweet movie. Again, you know yourself. If you're not someone who's looking for like a heartwarming robot animal adventure, if that's not your thing, then that's not your thing. You know yourself, and you're probably not going to enjoy it. But if it does seem like it's your kind of thing, or if you just seem somewhat interested in it, I do recommend it because, like I said, those emotional beats really do work in a strong way. Some nitpicks I have that are total nitpicks. This is an 8 out of 10 for me. This is a really good movie, I think. Really well done stuff. So yeah, definitely going to make my top list by the end of the year. So weirdly, don't have a ton to say about it. Like I said, it's a pretty simple plot, and it's really less about the like if you read the Wikipedia summary, you might not be overly impressed. Although there were some moments that I thought were very clever, but for the most part, it's about how it executes it, and it's about the characters, and it does a lot of work early on with the characters. And I read some people saying that they weren't crazy about the first act, they found it a bit slow, but I think that stuff really pays off in the final 2 acts. So because of it, yeah, 8 out of 10. I recommend it to pretty much everyone, unless you just kind of know yourself and know this isn't your thing, which is going to be some of you. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.